Most people are never more than a few hours from a city. A few thousand are much further out than that. These are the 10 most isolated places on Earth where anybody lives. Norfolk Island sits in the Pacific, 700 kilometers from anyone else. About 2,000 people live there. It was settled in 1856 by descendants of the Bounty mutineers, moved off Pitcairn when it got crowded. They brought their language, part 18th century English and part Tahitian. It is still spoken there today. Diego Garcia is an atoll in the middle of the Indian Ocean, and it is a military base. Around 4,000 people are stationed there. None of them are residents. The Chagosians who lived here were forcibly removed between 1968 and 1973 so the base could be built, and have been fighting to return ever since. The island is a thin ring of land, about 23 kilometers across. The nearest people are in the Maldives. Macquarie Island lies about halfway between Tasmania and Antarctica. Around 20 people are there at any one time, running an Australian research station. The island is geologically unlike anywhere else. It is the only place on Earth where rock from the mantle is exposed above sea level. It was pushed up out of the seafloor rather than built by a volcano. Royal penguins breed there and nowhere else. The Crozet Islands are French, and about 60 people live on Possession Island at the Alfred Forest Station. They are there on rotation, usually for a year. What makes this one striking is what counts as their nearest neighbor. It's Marion Island, more than 1,000 kilometers away, which is also a research station. The closest people are doing the same job, just as far from anywhere. Wake Island is a coral atoll in the North Pacific and an American airfield. Roughly 100 contractors and Air Force personnel are posted there. Nobody has ever been from Wake Island. It had no population before the airstrip. It sits right against the international date line, which puts it almost a full day ahead of Hawaii. The whole atoll is 6 kilometers across. St. Helena has been settled since 1659, and around 4,000 people live there now. Many families go back centuries. They call themselves saints. The island's remoteness is exactly why Napoleon was sent there in 1815. He died there 6 years later. Until 2017, the only way in was a Royal Mail ship from Cape Town, and the crossing took 5 days. There is an airport now. South Georgia is a wall of mountains and glaciers in the South Atlantic, and about 30 people are on it. They staff a British research station. The whaling settlements were abandoned decades ago. In 1916, Ernest Shackleton reached this island in a lifeboat after sailing 1,300 kilometers of open ocean. Then he had to cross it on foot to reach the whaling station on the other side. He is buried there. Easter Island is 2,000 kilometers from the nearest inhabited land, and that neighbor is Pitcairn, population 35. The mainland is more than 3,000 kilometers further on. Polynesian voyagers found it around 800 years ago, having crossed open Pacific to get there. What they built afterwards, they built alone. Nearly 900 stone figures, some of them over 10 meters tall, carved from volcanic rock and moved across the island. About 5,000 people live there today, nearly all of them in one town. Which brings us to the last two, and both are in the Atlantic. Isle Amsterdam is a French island in the southern Indian Ocean, and 28 people are on it. They run a weather and research station, and they rotate out after a year. The nearest other people are 2,300 kilometers away, back at the Crozet station from earlier in this list. The island was first sighted in 1522, and nobody has ever settled it permanently. The Amsterdam albatross nests there and on no other island in the world. There are fewer than 100 breeding pairs left. And then there is the one at the top. Tristan de Cunha is the most remote inhabited place on Earth. The nearest people are on St. Helena, 2,400 kilometers north. Around 250 people live there, and they all descend from a handful of founding families. There are 8 surnames on the whole island. It was settled in 1816, when Britain put a garrison there during Napoleon's exile on St. Helena, in case anyone tried to fetch him. There is no airstrip. The only way in is a boat from Cape Town, 6 days at sea, a handful of sailings a year. In 1961, the volcano erupted, and the entire population was evacuated to England. They spent 2 years there, then almost all of them chose to go back. Every distance here was measured from coastline data rather than looked up.